rolling into the holiday season. Tomorrow in the States is Thanksgiving, a day where families get together, eat way more than they should, watch football, fall asleep in a turkey coma, and you're surrounded by your family. And I know a lot of people are stressing out about the holidays and Thanksgiving tomorrow. When we go back to spend time with our family, we go back to that role that we played in that system. And there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of anxiousness, mentally, emotionally preparing. It's like putting on old shoes that you no longer want to wear. Try not to fear the upcoming holiday. Try to use it as a tool to learn, to observe, to pay attention. Pay attention to the feelings that are going on in your body. Pay attention to the way people interact. Pay attention to what role you play when you all get together. Pay attention to the things that you feel are acceptable and the things that you do not feel acceptable. See, this is all about the learning process when you're around your family. You get certain feelings that when you're only with them. And we tend to not pay attention. We tend to just slip into that role and become who we needed to be validated and loved and accepted and safe. And we want to learn how to be the things that weren't allowed and start feeling safe with them. Some of this work we have to do alone. We process, we feel, we journal, we meditate, we go into ourselves. Other part of the work is exposing ourselves to the things that make us feel uncomfortable, that make us feel worthless, that make us feel shameful, so that we can start processing them instead of fearing them and burying them. You see, I don't feel good about who I am, and I show up and I have to pretend that I'm better than I am, because the system, it's a shame-based system. So people can't look at me sad. People can't look at me not doing well in the world. So no matter how bad I feel when I show up with family, I pretend to be better than I am, because the system needs me to be that way. See, my bad mood, my not feeling good about myself is a mirror to people who live in shame. And it forces them to look at themselves. Well, why is he unhappy? Why is he not doing well in this world? I don't want to see that, because then I'm going to have to go into my own shame and my own worthlessness. So we're going to condition him and shame him to be happy and positive and productive and do well in this world, so that I don't have to go into my own feelings of inadequacy. Feeling inadequate and feeling worthless, there's not a person on the planet that doesn't feel that. Some of us just feel it all the time. And the more we deny it and the more we pretend it's not there, the bigger it grows, and the more we fear it and the more we stay away from it, and the more of a false self that we build so we don't go near those feelings. It's important to get into those feelings and pay attention. Before I had moved away from my family, I started to really pay attention to what was going on in my body when I wasn't playing that role. And the feelings that came up were crippling. And then I would leave and I would go process it and try to understand it. And why was it when I left that I felt this sense of relief? Because I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to put on a facade. I didn't have to be what the system needed me to be. I was able to relax in it and just feel sad or feel miserable or feel worthless or feel whatever I wanted to feel, that I wasn't really worried about how it was looking or how it was feeling to others. See, I'm looking at their mirroring faces, and that's where my validation had come from. But at some point, I just couldn't keep up the facade. So as you're moving into this holiday season, as you're showing up tomorrow for Thanksgiving for the big meal and the chaos and who's running around and everybody's keeping busy and who's giving orders and who does this and who does that and who's allowed to be in the kitchen, who's not allowed to be in the kitchen, whatever the system is, for me it was like a rerun. It was the same episode spun out year after year, the same foods. We ate at the same times. It was the same people. It was the same conversations. And there was nothing meaningful about it. It was all surface because I lived in a family that feared emotions, real emotions. I mean, anger and rage and shame just seemed to be like real easy for everybody. But it was that feeling, what does this feel like? Let's express ourselves on a level below the surface. Let's not spend 4 hours talking about how the stuffing came out and who made the stuffed mushrooms this year. And, it just all had to be the same. And there was no spontaneity. It was all this, it was a script. It was a programmed response. Pay attention to your feelings, pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to your body reactions, pay attention to how people are interacting. Start to see the reality of it. You see, I just took it as this is normal. This is the way it's supposed to be. I was handed a belief system. I was told what foods based on my nationality, what God I had to worship based on the religion of the family I was brought into. See, I didn't have any choices. I just adapted to what was given to me. As we get older, we get to make these choices on our own, but we feel like we're not allowed because if I go against what was expected of me, the belief system that was given to me, I was shamed back into line because they attached so hard as their identity to their surroundings and they never moved out of it. They weren't allowed to move out of it. So they're not going to let you move out of it. If you start moving out of the family system, the belief system, the roles you play, they have to start questioning their own reality and they don't want to do that. You don't need them to do this work. You don't need them to give you permission to change because they're never going to give you the permission. You have to give yourself the permission. Start to see what it really is and how you really feel and look at the person you're being. Start to see where you're full of shit and you're pretending just to be accepted and not rock the boat. You don't have to go in and make this huge scene and plant the flag in the ground and say, no more, that's it. Today's the end of me being my false self. Just slowly start to pay attention. Start this process of dismantling the false self by showing up in places that are uncomfortable where you have to be something that you don't want to be and slowly stop being it. They only know what they know because they feel safe and they feel valued and they feel loved in this system. They don't know how to be authentic. They don't know how to be real. If you're waiting for them to change, it's never going to happen. The goal is for you to be comfortable, not living a lie, not being in a role, not pretending. And this doesn't happen quickly. When I was younger, I always looked at the holidays as a chance for connection. You see, for me, connection is everything, and I need to feel connection on a deep level. I need to feel like we're in this together. I always felt lonely. I always felt isolated, even in a room full of people, a house full of people, because there was no emotional connection, because they had no emotional depth. It was frightening to them. So I had this expectation on holidays, like this is the year that we connect. This is when we break down the walls. This is when we start getting real. And for so many years, I would show up at holidays expecting that this year is going to be different and change. And there were times when I tried to initiate the change and I tried to talk about deeper things, but it was just met with resistance because it wasn't acceptable, because they weren't capable of it. And I remember when I first stopped going to holidays with the family, there was this, I felt the sense that I was betraying them, and the guilt and the shame that I had to deal with. And then sitting alone in a diner on Thanksgiving, knowing that people are with their families and enjoying life, and I was just absolutely alone. But I had felt as alone in that diner as I did the year before with my family, because when there's no emotional connection, I feel lonely and I feel isolated. So there was a different kind of shame when I stopped going. I mean, I grew up in a big Italian family. There was always people around, and to spend the holidays alone where it's just crickets and isolated and you're alone with your own thoughts and, feeling lonely and feeling sad always. And then looking around and having nobody there, I actually went into the feelings that I always felt when people were around. And then I had to deal with it. I had to talk myself out of feeling worthless because nobody was around. And it didn't feel like a choice at first. It wasn't like I just made this decision. It's like, this is the year, I'm pulling back and I'm not showing up and I'll show them and da-da-da-da-da. It was, my body just wouldn't allow me to be there. And I had to sit with those feelings and I had to talk myself out of worthlessness. And year after year of not having anywhere to be and nobody around on Thanksgiving, I started to get used to that fact. And it became normal. And then it was a choice. It was a conscious choice. See, at the beginning, it's unconscious. I just can't put myself here and I don't understand why. And then I sit in misery because I'm alone. And then I process it. And then the next year comes and it puts me back in the feelings, but they're not as intense. And then I get to the point where it's like I get to choose who I want to spend time with and why. I get to make those decisions on my own. And it's not driven from this place of hurt anymore. It's driven from a place of choice and self-care and doing what I feel is best for me. It doesn't look good to everybody in the family. I mean, they look at it how they look at it. And that's the thing that I had to get over, that judgment. See, but I was taking care of myself. I needed time away. I needed to understand and learn who I was and why I felt so lonely around the people that were my family. When you get to that point and you make those choices on your own, it gets so much easier. You understand the loneliness. You understand the sadness. You understand why you don't want to show up and be around those people. And you're hurting when you pull away and you're healing. And you need to be on your own and you need to feel what it feels like inside to heal it. And then you get to make the choice. Where do I want to be and who do I want to be with? And a lot of time it was just wanted to sit in the diner by myself. Now I have a group of friends who all get together. It's like Land of Misfit Toys. And we get to enjoy our company. And there is real talk, and there is intimacy, and there is emotional connection. And we don't know each other for that long, and we don't know each other that well. But there's a respect and an understanding of where we come from and who we are that makes the day so much more enjoyable. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be with family that don't want to be. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are not with family and want to be. There's going to be people in the middle. And you're going to struggle through it. It's a moment of time. It's one day. For me, it's not Thanksgiving. It's just a day off on a Thursday. And I get to choose what I want to do and how I want to do it. So take this time and try to understand your feelings, your body reactions, your emotions. Why do you keep showing up? Why do you not want to show up? And start to understand yourself and understand where you came from and why it is that you're here. You are allowed to make choices based on your own best interest. You do not have to make choices based on what others expect out of you so that they don't feel bad. You see, you're feeling bad to save somebody else bad feelings. You're going to feel bad either way. You might as well feel bad while you're taking care of yourself. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving here in the States, and just keep loving and taking care of yourself. I know it's a painful time of year we're heading into, and I know the sadness and the loneliness starts to kick in more and more. Manage it. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel disconnected to people you're supposed to feel connected to. But the goal and the point of all this is to learn how to feel connected to self, to belong to self. See, when you belong to you, most of the things outside of you stop mattering. They're not as important. When you have you, you have everything you need. So figure out what you need and give it to yourself. Start living the way you want. Make choices based on what's good for you, not what's good for others around you. Thanks for listening. You can contact me at joeryan.com. Follow me on Instagram at joeryan. And if you want, you can leave us a review on iTunes. That'd be great. All right, take care.